So yes, I'm Tia Hopper. I have my own social media consulting business. I'm a social media strategist, and my passion is really around simplifying social media and helping people find joy in their social media again. And I'm really excited to talk on this topic. I haven't necessarily spoke on this exact topic before, but I think it's so important. And so often, the people that I'm working with are overwhelmed by social media. And I think that one of the number one reasons why is because they don't know how to measure success. So they're doing all the things, they feel like they're not getting anywhere, and it's because they don't know, or they don't feel like they're having success. So I'm excited to jump into this topic tonight. So I'm going to kick it off with this quote: "Measure, measure, measure. What you can't measure, you can't improve." And you've probably heard that before, but again, if we can't measure what we're doing on social media, then we can't improve it. And so often, people that I work with, they've been doing social media for a while, and they, like I said, they feel overwhelmed, or they've quit, or they've given up, or they feel like they're failing. And my question is always to them, well, like, what are you measuring? Like, how are you measuring that? And so often they don't know, they just feel that way. So in order to really we can only measure what we're doing, right? And we can't improve what we're not doing. We can't get better at it. But in order to measure success, we have to start with our goals. So before we get into metrics and numbers and all the data, it really starts here. It really starts with goals. I think this is, really taking it back to step one and simplifying it. You can't measure what you don't have. So looking at goals and why you really need social media goals. Okay, so the world of social media is vast. As we know, there's so many platforms. Every platform has a different algorithm. It's so hard to keep up with. There's so many channels and nuances within each channel. And so if you just jump into it without thinking about your intent, and then you're going to quickly become overwhelmed. And like I said, you're going to just stop trying and give up, which is not what we want to do. And oftentimes people feel like it's not worth their time. Um, and so, really digging into, well, what do you want to accomplish with social media? And so, having smart goals helps us make smart decisions, and it helps us spend less time on social media. So, eliminating that overwhelm. And decisions become really hard when we don't have goals to help keep us focused. So, it really starts here with goals. So, identifying your social media goals is actually going to help you do some really powerful things within the world of social media. It's going to point you to the right social media channels. So, when you know what your goals are, along with your target audience and who you're trying to reach, it makes that decision of what channel you should be on super easy. And I know that's being covered in the other session, but just kind of tying that together. So you know what channels to be on, and you know what to post, and you know what topics to be covering to help you reach those goals. I'm going to get into that more in just a little bit. And then the words and the language to use to really like try to get your audience's attention when you are when you know your goals. So helpful. It's going to guide your strategy. It's going to help you really focus your efforts. And like I said, simplify social media. It's going to save you so much time, which we're all looking for, that shortcut when it comes to social media. And then it's going to help you track your success. So, getting into your goals specifically, what should this look like? I always say to keep your goals super, super simple. Okay. So, aim for 2 to 5. Don't overthink this. Like, you don't have to have this, robust list of goals. Just simply ask yourself, like, what am I trying to accomplish on social media? Don't feel like you have to have a whole bunch, just a few to get you started. So what do you want to accomplish on social media? Answer that question. And if you have, hopefully you have business goals and you have some marketing goals. So start there. So take your business goals, take your marketing goals, and break those down specifically. Come up with those digital marketing goals of how are you going to accomplish those bigger goals via social media. So some different type of goals, to give you an example, it could be that you want to be seen as the trusted resource or the industry expert within your field. It could be that you want to increase brand awareness. It could be that you want to increase sales by 10%. So those are all very different goals. They're all achievable by social media, but they're all very different, and they all require a different social media strategy. So this is really the starting point for getting started with your social media. And when I have clients, I'm helping them with their social media strategy, this is one of the first things that we talk about is goals and setting those goals. So then once you get your goals, um, you want to have a measurement, a metric for each one of them. Okay, because a goal is only as good as we can track it, right? So think about then for those goals that you develop, how are you going to measure each of those goals? Which metric will you use to measure that success? And we're going to get more into those metrics here in a little bit. But I always encourage you to do this before you get into, posting and doing all those things so you can really have a plan for success. So if your goal was to become the trusted resource or the industry expert, then you might have measurements, metrics that you're looking at, such as blog click-throughs, video views, shares, how many people are actually like, observing and taking in your content and then sharing it with other people. If you're trying to get more brand awareness, you're probably going to be looking at metrics like reach and page likes or followers. And if your goal is to get, increase enrollment or increase sales or get more leads, then you're going to be looking at those specific things. Are you accomplishing them? So having your goal and knowing how you're going to measure it. So as we get into the metric landscape of social media, again, it can be a little chaotic and a little overwhelming. There's more metrics than you will ever be able to wrap your head around. I'll share a brief story with you. When I started in social media, probably not started, but at one point in my career, I was director of digital engagement. And so my job was always to provide, the metrics and the data for how our social media was doing. And I would literally spend hours in Facebook, like there's so many reports and these huge, massive reports. I'd spend so much time putting together. And then literally, no one would look at it except for me. And I'm like, I don't even know how to interpret this data. Like there's so much there. So, Facebook has its own metrics. Instagram has its own metrics. If you use something like Sprout Social or a scheduling tool, a lot of them, Hootsuite, have their own data, and so it's vast and there's a lot of it. And so the numbers are only meaningful if they mean something to us, right? Like if we can interpret it, and if they don't mean anything to you, they're completely worthless. So really, I just want to put that out there because it's important to know what your metrics are and then be able to capture them and have a report that is meaningful to you, that's telling you, are you being successful? Are you meeting your goals? And so I'm going to share my own kind of custom metric tracking sheet and give you some tips to keep this simple and to avoid that overwhelm. So some tips for measuring success. I really like to track monthly. Facebook sends out its own weekly little email of metrics. I don't think that's very meaningful because so many things change from week to week. So I really like to track my data monthly and then of course year over year. And like I said, I keep it simple. I have a Google sheet that I have some basic metrics for each platform that I capture for clients. And then depending on their goals, we might, add some different metrics that align with what they're trying to accomplish. So measure what matters to you. Are you all about Facebook events? Like then measure Facebook events. If you're on Instagram, really capture Instagram, but figure out what matters to you and then measure that data. Don't try to measure everything and capture it all. A couple other things outside of just a platform, specifically measuring your original content. And I'll show you kind of how I do that. So if you have, if you're all in on blogs, then make sure that you are capturing blog views and click-throughs to your blogs. If you're really focused on videos and creating videos, make sure that you have a separate sheet where you're really capturing video views and how long people are watching your videos and getting specific on your content. Sometimes we get focused on likes and comments, but we're not looking at, okay, who's clicking through, who's going to my website, and who's really looking at my content. So here is a very simple metric tracking sheet that I use for my clients. So this is for Facebook specifically, and we simply capture page likes, new page likes, clicks, reactions. So that's like likes, all the reactions coming together, loves. Comments and shares. Now they are a pet food store, and so or pet store, I guess I should say. So they are really focused on comments and shares. Those are their big KPIs, and so that's what we really look at. And then I also love to add this one, top post. So in addition to these, these things, what are the top posts every month that are getting the most combination of reacts and comment shares. And when you scroll through your post, you can usually see, which ones really did the best. And that is one of the best metrics I think you can have in there for any channel, because it allows you to really see like what you should be doing more of, what posts you should continue to do, and which ones aren't cutting it. And so that's just the basic one. I have these for all different channels. And if you would like for me to share, these with you, just send me an email. Don't put it in the comments because I might not get it. Send me an email. I'll give you my email address at the end. I'm happy to share these with you to just get you started. Okay, so the last thing then is to evaluate, tweak, and repeat. So you have your goals, you have your metrics, and then you're just gonna do this for a month, track it, evaluate, see what's working. What if something's not working, tweak it, make some adjustments to it, and whatever is working for you, continue to do that. Marketing is one big experiment. Sometimes as consultants, we don't want to say that, but it's the truth, right? We're just making very educated guesses. We don't know exactly the exact science of this. And so this allows you to know what's working and keep doing it and keep refining your strategy, and also allows you then that freedom to have a little fun and try some new things. So maybe maybe there's a type of post or content that you think should really be working well that's not. Maybe you try it on a different platform. Maybe you try it at a different time of day. Just keep tweaking that, but keep doing what is working and following the numbers. And this is when it gets really fun, when you've kind of gotten past that initial, part of building your strategy and with your goals. And so, end with this quote, and then I'll give you a couple of resources and have time for questions. So every trackable interaction creates a data point, and every data point tells a piece of the customer story. So I am not a big data person, believe it or not. Numbers are not my thing, but I truly believe that if you just follow the data, your customers are telling you what they want, right? So if you put something out there and it gets a great response, keep doing that. Just keep following them. But if you don't have that data, even if you're keeping it very simple, if you don't have that in front of you, you're not going to be able to follow the path, and you're just left guessing and feeling overwhelmed. So they're telling you what they want, just listen to them. Okay, so I told you, let me know if you want my tracking sheet. This is another resource, my most popular one. I wanted to give this to you guys tonight too. If you're just getting started with social media, you can go to my website and download this. It's a content map that will guide you in knowing what to post, so you never run out of ideas of what to post on social media again. So you can just go to that link. And with that, I will open it up for questions. Let me know if you have any
Yes.
questions.
So if you have any questions, please type them into the chat. I have two quick questions for you. I've heard some advice saying that rather than trying different platforms, you should really overinvest in one, trying to make a big movement there. So that would be a question. I'd kind of be curious what your philosophy is on that.
Yeah, I would agree, as long as it's the right platform for you. Like if you feel like that's really the right platform for you, and the way to tell that is really looking at your audience, your target audience you're trying to attract, and are they on that platform? I'd always recommend my clients start with one and feel like you've really got the hang of it on there before you go on to that next platform. So I would agree with that.
One other question, I guess they sent directly, is are you looking at this more for organic traffic or for paid promotions, or
Yes,
how do you
that's a
balance
great
those?
question. That this is more for organic. Yeah, this would be for your organic posting. I do have a separate tracking sheet for ads that I use. Again, it's simple. It depends on the client and our goals and what we're tracking, but I also track those, not necessarily monthly, but more per ad. So I would say a lot of it overlaps, but I did create this presentation mine with organic.
Great. I don't see any other questions right now, but I'll ask another one of my own.
Okay.
That is, I'm an older guy, but I'd like to spread, my knowledge around. Should I be looking at these platforms like TikTok, or is there such a generational difference that I should just stay the hell away?
I would say that depends on your purpose. Are you wanting to use it for business or for fun?
Right. Well, I guess that's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. I have to think through that, but I think more about, if I could get more consulting gigs or something like that.
Mhm. Yeah, I will say I don't personally have a lot of clients using TikTok. goes back to your target audience. So I don't have a lot of clients right now whose target audience is that young of a generation. I don't think it hurts to learn how to use it. So I always tell people to start using it personally, get comfortable with it, and then decide, does it make sense for you to be using it for your business? And if it does, then you're comfortable using it. You've kind of got it down. So that would be my advice.
Good. We have one really good question here, and that is, where should beginners start to really understand some of these metrics? I mean, should they be taking the Google Analytics course, or should, how do you get started in really understanding what these numbers mean?
hmm That's a good question. Yeah, I would say that is a good one. Facebook also has some free courses as well. It used to be Facebook Blueprint. I think they've renamed it. But if you just go to, if you just, search for a free Facebook course, it would come up. So they have some good ones um, as well.
Okay, great. So, I guess I might ask this question as well, just based on Adonika's intro. How have you seen things change with the COVID crisis, both one for your business and then also for the whole social media marketing?
Yeah. So for my business, I sometimes feel bad saying it, but it's taken off, as you might guess, because more and more people are, like, as Adonica said, moving to digital and, needing their business to be online and needing it to survive and make money online virtually. None of the clients that I had have gone away, and I've gotten, quite a bit of new business from that. People just looking for help for that. I think there's a lot of people who wish pre-COVID that they had a social media presence, or they knew how to, use social media. And so some of them, are kind of feeling behind the eight ball. But yeah, I would say overall, as no surprise, as she was saying, there's been everything's virtual now, so it makes sense. And so I think for myself and just the digital marketing space in general, everything is kind of up. And I agree with her. I think it's here to stay. Not that things won't, some things won't go back to the way that they were, but I do think that, um, yeah, I do think a lot of things are going to stay online and virtual. So it's for now, more than ever, it's important to have that digital presence, both from a business standpoint and as a personal brand. So when someone's, trying to look you up, find out more about you, that you have a digital presence out there that reflects who you are and what you do.
Great. So there's another kind of a more of a career question about how long have you been doing this consulting business? But I would also ask, how do you approach for your own metrics to reach those new clients? Do you use Facebook, Instagram? Where do you find your clients?
hmm Um, so let's see, 3 years I've been doing Teah consulting, like entirely all in, I always say. And then about 2.5 years before that, I was working full time in consulting on the side. So a little over 5 years total. Um, and yeah, I've been in Columbia most of that time, moved around a little bit, but most of that time. So I always say that I'm my own worst client, but I still get all of my work has come from either word of mouth or through social media. And when I say word of mouth, it's digital word of mouth. And I think it takes a while for that to happen. And so when I'm working with clients, I always say it's kind of like having a baby. It takes 9 months for you to be using social media and using it consistently to start to get those referrals. And sometimes I think people are confused of what that looks like. It literally for me looks like someone sending me an email, filling out my website form, sending me a Facebook message. Sometimes it's on my personal page, sometimes it's on my business page, and just saying, like, either someone I know who's introducing me to someone, but I know you do this, I need help, or this person needs help. But it's because they've seen me on social media and they've seen me consistently. They know I'm doing this, and I'm top of mind for them, right, when it comes to social media. And so that's really is simple. I mean, that's how it works. It's so, but you've got to do it consistently over a long period of time to see those results. And I think so many people quit, before, because they don't feel like they're seeing the results. It's like, you could just go a little bit longer, and you
Kind of
will.
like exercising then, right?
Exactly. Yes, exactly. I've made that comparison a lot. Um, and so I mainly use Facebook, and LinkedIn and Instagram for myself, for my business.
There's another direct message. that was asking, I guess, really about the what tools you might use. Like you mentioned Hootsuite in passing, and there's, I know, Loomy and Buffer and a bunch of
Yes,
other ones. Is there
yes.
particular ones that you'd recommend people looking at?
Yeah, I definitely think that Sprout Social is definitely the most robust, and I do like their reporting. It is a paid one, and it's not cheap. I don't remember how much it is, but I mean, in comparison, it's probably one of the more expensive ones. So if you're just getting started, back when I used Twitter a lot, I really liked Hootsuite. I don't use that as much anymore, but it is free, and you can connect multiple accounts to it. And for me, it's one of the most easiest ones to use, and they do have some great data in their dashboard as well. Buffer is a good one. Meet Edgar is a good one. It kind of depends on, they're all a little bit different. And I love Meet Later, or sorry, not Meet, I combined two of those, later.com for Instagram. But I think it depends on how you're trying to use it and kind of how your mind works. I'm a very visual person, and so some of them I look at them like this works for me, and others not so much. So I think it's important to kind of take a look at each of them and see um, which one kind of relates to you the best.
Okay. Great. So another question, kind of how can, so if you have a social media following, or
Mhm.
in my case, TikTok, how do I convert that into somebody actually giving me a call? How do I do the call to action that's not too commercial, I guess?
Yeah. Um, that's a great question. So I recommend for my clients, we have a posting schedule. We have buckets of content, right? So Monday is a certain bucket, Tuesday is a different type of category that you're going to post. And I think that allows you to plan out your content in a way that you're not overselling, but also that you have content built in that is there for you to promote yourself and to sell yourself. And so, I don't think sometimes the call to action is very obvious, right? And so you don't need such an obvious call to action. Like if you have a blog, go read the blog, watch the video. But there should be times when you are trying to sell them, and that is a post, where there's a call to action. And it depends on your goal. But is it, reach out for a free consult? Is it, fill out this form, or download my lead magnet? I mean, whatever it is, you need to have your funnel, I guess. But I think 1 in 5, is a good one. Probably, I would say, almost say 1 in 4 might be too much. 1 in 5, you're educating, you're providing value, and then you're mixing in those posts with that call to action. And so I think it depends on what you want them to do, but yeah, getting them to do what you want them to do. But I think a lot of times just providing that value and educating, and then you become that trusted resource. You don't have to constantly be beating them over the head with, call me, email me, because when it comes time for your services, they think of you and they're going to do those things. So make it easy for them. I guess that would be the main thing. Make it easy for them to find your email address, to find your website, to be able to contact you, send you a message on Facebook, whatever it is. So it's just right there in front of them, and they can, take that action to contact you.